Dick North Memorial Field on the campus of East Lyme High School. It is time for boys lacrosse action, the ECC finals between the number 1 East Lyme Vikings and the number 2 Waterford Lancers. And you are listening and watching live on Game Day, live on theday.com. Casey O'Neill along with the coach, Ray Lefort, joining us again for lacrosse action. And as always, lurking nearby, the sports doctor, Keith O'Brien. Let's go down to the sports doctor and welcome him on in.
Hey, Casey, how you guys doing today? What a beautiful day for a lacrosse championship here, ECC style. Casey, back-to-back years, Waterford versus East Lyme. Something's got to give if you're Lancer Nation, you would think.
Well, we're going to find out, sports doctor. This is a rematch of last year's final. The Vikings pulled it off last year. They won the only regular season matchup this year between the two teams, 11-9. And so far, Coach, Waterford not able quite to get over that hump.
Oh, it's been a long time coming. I think they've drawn, parallel, but have not yet pushed past. I guess in a recent article or interview, one of the Waterford players alluded to maybe a little bit of a lump in the throat over the situation. It only takes one to get off the schneid, but it's hard to do when the other team's motivated to stop you.
Yeah, these two teams are, certainly familiar with each other and very similar to last year. Waterford has come in a fantastic record, 14-3. Only losses other than to East Lyme were to very good teams, Notre Dame of West Haven and East Catholic. Never by more than 3 goals. Competitive in all of their games. You look at East Lyme's record, they're only 10-7, but you look at the schedule they played with North Haven and Notre Dame of West Haven and Daniel Hand, Fairfield Prep, Amity, Cheshire, Xavier. A lot of very good teams that East Lyme's playing. That 10-7 record may be a little deceiving in terms of the quality, but what's most interesting from my end is looking at Waterford, 7 in a row coming into today's game, playing their best lacrosse of the year.
Oh yeah, a lot of momentum. Kids are clicking. They've adjusted to the newness of the roster, and Caleb Holdred moving in from Texas. So there's a lot of changes, and I think they've finally hit their stride.
We will be ready for after the national anthem. As we approach this Memorial Day weekend, a beautiful night here at East Lyme High School. And Coach, we have been waiting for good weather all spring long, and you couldn't ask for a better set of conditions here for an ECC final between these two teams.
Well, I just said that 48 hours ago you still had the worst weather of the year, and the kids played the semifinals in an absolute deluge over at Montville. And if you were 20 years ago, you would have been playing in mud. And boy, they're lucky they had field turf that day.
That's an excellent point because that's something that we don't think about quite as much with lacrosse and soccer being played almost predominantly on turf fields. Now, you're right, that would have been a mud bowl only a few years ago. But instead, we're here on the turf at East Lyme. A beautiful night. The Vikings, the favorites, if only because they're the champions. And, in order to get to the mountaintop, you've got to kind of finally push that person off their perch, and that's where Waterford is looking right now. Can they get over the hump? Last year, this game was dominated in part by senior goalkeepers who were both very talented. This year, something a little different. Waterford starting a freshman, Cooper Alloway, and East Lyme starting only a sophomore. They rotate between Eric Brodeur and Mac Fasaro. It looks like Brodeur is going to get this start today. How unusual is it, Coach, to see elite lacrosse with freshman and sophomore goalkeepers?
Well, I think from the East Lyme perspective, they have a nice program. They have a freshman, a JV, and a varsity, so the kids played. It's an advantage to get to see shots and take shots, and they have a nice roster, and they have a lot of good shooters. So they're seeing good shooters in practice. I think with Alloway, I think he got a little situation where he's the youngest of 3 brothers, and so he may be a little older than he appears, and he's played outstanding. He's just been consistent all year and does a nice job after a shot and a save finding an outlet. The ball's not in the stick very long.
Luther Wade and Andrew Alden will face off right at the 50-yard line on the football field, and we are underway. And of course, as is usually the case, it's won by Luther Wade, the very dominant face-off specialist.
East Lyme does a nice job recognizing the ball on the ground here, and they turned a Luther Wade face-off win into a scrum.
Wade in control right now for the Lancers. At the 40-yard line, he'll look to reset. Want to get the ball on the stick of Caleb Holdridge, the leading scorer here for Waterford, and now over it goes to Bowdish, and Waterford will set up its first offensive set in the East Lyme end.
Waterford usually settles in on 6 kids on offense, and they try to do that slowly through the box, and not really a big team that pushes transition.
2 of those are the Lefort brothers, Michael and Mason. Michael, we know, spends a lot of time behind the net, where he's both a distributor and goal scorer. We see him now get the ball into the hands of Holdridge. First shot of the game is down, and a nice save made by Brodeur. First shot, Holdridge went low, and Brodeur was on the spot.
And East Lyme showing up this first quarter in man defense. This defense they played a little bit of in the last matchup, and then they switched to zone sometime in the second quarter, and that swung the momentum. So it's interesting that they came out in man.
Long stick of Isaac Tomlin on the ball. Now over to Bowdish. Bowdish rips a shot, and a beautiful stick save by Brodeur and an outlet, but we'll get our first whistle.
You might have a cross check here on East Lyme.
See what our officials have to say. Sports Doctor, what do you got?
Casey, East Lyme, number 25, unnecessary 2-minute penalty right off the bat.
That's Andrew Norwegian, the big defenseman of the Vikings, and an early penalty on their perhaps their most physical defenseman that they have on the team.
He's fleet of foot as well. He's outstanding. I think he looks like he's going to continue his career in a year up at New England College, a team that won their league and went to the NCAA tournament. So he's quite a player.
Bowdish and Lefort. Bowdish in front. Lefort now Holdridge inside. Beautiful pass and a save made by Brodeur. Jacobson was in front, but Brodeur was there for the stop.
He's made 2 nice saves, and the shot right there was on the doorstep, so he's ready to go. Clearly someone gave him a good warm-up.
And we have a bump and a flag here at midfield. That's going to be a cross check on the other direction, I believe.
Probably unnecessary roughness on Jacobson. The hockey kid in him comes out again.
Well, it's funny because we talked a lot about the various sports that lacrosse draws from and resembles. And there's far more basketball in lacrosse than I think I ever realized till we talked about the offensive formations and sets and trying to get the various mismatches. Sports Doctor, what do we got this time?
Yeah, Casey, we got a 30-second penalty on Waterford on number 11 for pushing. And early in this ball game, a lot of stick slapping, a lot of body checking. Both teams trying to impose their will early.
Thank you, Sports Doctor. East Lyme with its first offensive set. Right in the middle, a shot and a goal! Ryan Belandis with the first goal of the game for East Lyme on their first shot of the game. Not what Waterford wanted to see happen. A quick shot and goal, and the Vikings go up 1-0 with 9:47 remaining here in the opening period.
Belandis recognized a little seam and made a quick back cut and got his stick free to about 6 yards and received a really nice feed. It's a really nice finish.
East Lyme hadn't had the ball in their own end yet. Waterford had multiple opportunities, and then, as you said, Belandis found a nice little seam, and that's a tough shot for Alloway on the first shot of the game. He went low, and he was pretty much wide open, point-blank shot.
So right now the other score is 3 saves to none for East Lyme.
In the first game between these two teams, it was Fasaro in goal. This time, Brodeur, who took over in that game and played very well, in the net. Reset now, Waterford with another opportunity. Holdridge wants to rip, finds a seam, and another save that hit the post. Beautiful shot by Holdridge off the post.
And the ricochet comes right to Michael Lefort. And East Lyme was very well marked, so every body was covered. So it was a really nice situation for them.
Nice defense by Tomlin as he knocks the ball to the turf, but picked up by Holdridge, and Waterford will retain. Holdridge looking to rip, puts it back up top to Bowdish. Over to Lefort. Make that Mason Lefort. Got to distinguish Mason and Michael. Now Michael behind the net. And we will reset as Waterford will call out an offensive play. Going to try to see if they can maybe get a mismatch in front, Coach.
Well, I think Mike's looking to dodge, and he's looking to run a little two-man game. Holdridge is coming back to set a pick for him. The ball goes back to Holdridge, and this is something they've been doing very, very well.
Controlled still by Waterford. Lefort had it. They had Jacobson make a little run. That's where they ended up with the ball on the mismatch. Now Lefort in front. And a hand in the air whistle as number 18 of Waterford knocked to the ground.
You know, I'm not familiar with the number 18. Maybe it's Jackson Alloway. He usually wears 3. And I think he usually winds up becoming the 6th offensive player.
We'll see if we can get ourselves a number. Sports Doctor will work it out. In front, a shot, and a goal!
You know, that's Ryan Huda. And he generally is in number 10. And maybe they had a jersey, explode on him.
Well, that works. Thank you, Coach. Ryan Huda, he is one of the leading goal scorers on this Waterford team. He just picks up the goal in front. That'll be his 27th goal on the season. He's a primary scorer, and just like that, 1-1.
Coach was right. That was Huda.
You know, Huda and Jacobson are both very off-ball kind of targets. Jacobson is one of the better kids I've seen in the region. Eye-hand coordination, quick catch, quick shoot, and it shoots from a lot of little crafty angles. So both of those kids wind up showing up a lot.
Little sloppiness going on as someone's trying to retain possession here at midfield. Ball still loose, and looks like the Vikings are finally going to come out with it, and they are. Cam Hart with the run through the midfield to the 30-yard line. He'll throw it out in front, and East Lyme will reset on the edge is Swenson. Kevin Close, of course, the hockey star, state champion hockey player, dislodges the ball. Close with the long stick, and now he'll run up the sideline looking for a long pass up the middle. He's got it. Waterford in transition with Holdridge. Holdridge makes a run, little juke step, heads to the front of the net, switches, fires a shot, and a save by Brodeur.
You know, Close had a nice takeaway on Swenson. That's probably a matchup as the night goes on. That becomes a feature. It looks like that Coach Landry's assigned Close there. And Swenson's crafty. And in the last game, he had a nice no-look goal. So he's got a lot of presence around the crease.
Ball his head's out of bounds, and it will be East Lyme ball. It'll be inbounded there by Schaffner. And the Vikings will reset. 1-1 game here, 7 minutes remaining in the first period.
So Waterford had a slow substitution. There was a temporary 6v5 for East Lyme, and I don't think East Lyme recognized it. And now even they're switching out a couple of O&D middies.
Alden will come back into the game. Now Belandis controls, and he'll toss it back to Alden.
So here's an ISO dodge on the freshman.
And a shot, and a goal. Andrew Alden just into the ball game for maybe 20 seconds. And he scores with 6:36 remaining in the first period. 2-1 Vikings.
I don't know if Coach White wanted to get at that right away, but it's certainly the way he subbed out and then subbed Alden in. They wanted to get right to it. As soon as Alden got that matchup, all the East Lyme players on offense sunk real low, gave him a lot of space for a two-way go, and the kid made a really nice play down the right alley.
Efficiency so far, the name of the game for the Vikings on offense. Scoring on most of their opportunities. Waterford has had far more opportunities, but Brodeur has been stout so far in the goal for East Lyme.
I think East Lyme right now is shooting 2 for 2.
I think you're right, Coach. I don't think there's been a third shot. Nothing near the net. In front, we're going to get a play on and a bump on the run now is Hart for East Lyme. And he'll lose the ball out of bounds, and it will turn over, and Waterford will have the ball behind their own goal. And they're going to run through the keeper. Alloway, the freshman, outlets to Close, and Waterford looks to push.
So East Lyme's in a little sunk ride, trying to bump poles up to the middle of the field, and Waterford was a little lucky there to break that press there. That's the first time East Lyme's shown that tonight.
Now Bowdish over to Jacobson. Holdridge with the ball now, and Waterford will set with Holdridge back to Jacobson, and out in front it goes to Logan Bowdish. Bowdish on the long stick, runs left, looks to fire, lets it fly, and he scores! Logan Bowdish ties the game at 2 with 5:40 remaining in the first.
Bowdish got a little up pick there from one of the midfielders from Waterford and got a clean alley to his strong hand and got down to about 8 yards for that shot.
A little surprising at how, I hate to say easy, but how clean he was able to get to the goal that time. That's a nice offensive move, but I think a missed defensive assignment by East Lyme.
I think the up pick caused East Lyme a quick set of confusion to who the slide was.
Because as you said, Coach, he was within 8 yards with no one around him, and that's, for a kid as talented as Bowdish, that's a money shot.
No, he's at 220 points for a career at this stage, so they're certainly going to guard him.
Wade wins the faceoff, spins, multiple Vikings, physical, now to Bowdish. Bowdish heads down the right sideline. Walters, East Lyme long stick on him, and it goes back to Lefort. Mason Lefort, and now over to Jacobson. And Waterford looks to get on top for the first time in the game. 2-2 with 5 minutes remaining here in the first.
So this is interesting. Now you have James McCoy as a defensive midi guarding Jacobson behind. That's the first time I've seen that in all the matchups I've watched over the years.
And we have not said his name yet. James McCoy, the fastball throwing attack of East Lyme, playing, like you said, Coach, a little defensive midi. He's looking to set a screen, and he does. And East Lyme will have it back to McCoy. Cross field, it goes into the corner, and now back behind the net.
This possession is going to be tough for Waterford because in the transition of the turnover, they got 2 of their offensive midfielders stuck out there. So both Bowdish and Jacobson are marking up middies for East Lyme, and that sort of wears you out in the first quarter. You really sort of want to avoid that.
With the ball now is Swenson. Swenson makes a run, middle of the field, in front, shot, and a goal! Alex Jakubczak for East Lyme puts them back on top 3-2 in this roller coaster first. Vikings up 3-2 with 4:07 remaining.
You know what? And that's what I was alluding to. The slide was late for Waterford. The ball got in deep, and looks like the midfielders and the poles for Waterford were all sort of a little bit conservative on who was the go.
Sports Doctor, you see here in a little bit down there on the sidelines, East Lyme coaches, what are they saying down there on the sidelines?
East Lyme coaches, Casey, every time Bowdish gets the ball and makes a run off that left side, they're screaming constantly, lefty, lefty, trying to take the scoring angle away from that young man. The coaches are aware of it, trying to make the players aware of it as well. Sometimes
easier said than done. He's good at what he does. And, if they don't hedge him all the way off the left hand, then he's probably going to keep going down that alley.
Well, it's funny, to put another sport on the table, they joke all the time that James Harden is going left. Everyone knows he's going left. He tells you he's going left. They defend him to make him not go left, and he still can get left on virtually anybody. At some point, a scorer knows how to score, and Bowdish knows his angles, and if you give him you overplay it all you want, he finds a way to put himself into scoring positions. Face off this time in the East Lyme zone, controlled by the Vikings. That's Belandis. Belandis up top to Hart. Hart with a run in the seam. Shot wide, and a hustle, but it'll stay East Lyme ball. Alloway tried to get out of the net in time to make it a Waterford ball, but instead the Vikings were able to control.
And that's the first face-off we've seen Hart take. And he got a clean win there versus Wade, which was the first time any of the face-offs have been won clean.
Yeah, Wade has been such a dominant force on face-offs for his career here at Waterford. Belandis. Now it goes back behind the net to Swenson. In front, Belandis again now, right at the 20 mark. He gets a screen. Switches back to his left, throws it in front. Nice contact there in front by Close to dislodge the ball. And Alloway makes the save for Waterford, and they will head in transition. There's a turnover by Waterford, and a flag goes up in the air, and let's find out what the official says. Sports Doctor, let's see if we can get the official's word on what the penalty is.
Casey, East Lyme, illegal body check on number 19. Things getting a little chippy and a little physical down here. As expected, coach, in a championship-style game.
You know, we played in one a couple of weeks ago, and the other coach just kept saying, let the boys play to the referees. And a lot of times that's the tempo of a championship game, is to let it go.
You like that physical play, coach, in a championship setting?
I think as long as if it's rough and tumble and clean, I'm good. I think if the referees keep it in check and it's rough and tumble and clean, then that's the nature of the sport, and we can all live with it.
Waterford with the possession, trying to tie the game up at 3. They're down 1 with 2:42 remaining here in the first period from East Lyme. Holdridge being banged by the long stick of East Lyme. Now into the slot it goes. Lefort in front. And a turnover. Ball loose. Picked up by Waterford. That's Jacobson. And we're going to get another flag on the play.
So you had a hold there on 9. And Waterford was fortunate to get the ball back, but now Bowdis is going to try to work to get his stick top side.
There's a rip and wide by Bowdish, and now we'll see the penalty on East Lyme enforced after Waterford loses possession.
So East Lyme's doing a nice job there in their man down. They were locking off the crease and rotating very fast with the 4 poles, and the kids all have good feet. And I guess, right there, Walter just got caught hooking Jacobson on the loose ball.
Slashing penalty on number 9 for East Lyme, and again, things a little chippy, but I like that. I think that's the way East Lyme wants to play. Take the space away from the Waterford players, Coach.
Well, you got to make them earn it, and they certainly are. And Waterford has not had that many direct shots. A lot of the shots, the goalie's been fronted up, and haven't really had any really good step downs. This just went from a 6v4. The first penalty just got released into a 6v5, and Holdridge just misses.
Right in front, Holdridge with a point-blank nice look that time, but a save by Brodeur. But Waterford will retain possession right now with Bowdish and Huda, Jacobson, the Leforts, and Holdridge out there, the scoring 6 for Waterford. Bowdish, Holdridge goes high, hits the post right. Oh, another point-blank look by Caleb Holdridge, and that shot had some mustard on it.
It sure did. He's a little steep. He could get a little better angle if he takes one more step a little higher, but other than that, he's doing a nice job changing his angles low to high.
Lefort now, Bowdish, inside Holdridge. Back behind the net, it goes to Mason Lefort, to Michael Lefort, and cross. Holdridge with a look, makes a run, he shoots, and he hits the post again, and another flag comes down, and Gary White is incensed on the East Lyme sideline.
I think you're going to get an illegal body check on 14.
That's Angiolelli, the senior defenseman for East Lyme.
Yeah, cross-check Casey on number 14, 1 minute. And you're right, Casey. Gary White is hot down here in the sidelines.
Yeah, that's 4 consecutive penalties for physicality on East Lyme. And now Waterford looks to take advantage. Behind the net, Lefort to Michael Lefort. Now rotating around, Bowdish. Then they get it again. Holdridge, and he scores! And Brodeur wanted that one. It went right past his stick, high right side of the net, and a goal by the guy who does it better than anybody on Waterford, Caleb Holdridge, and we're tied at 3 with a minute remaining here in the first period.
Caleb, Holdridge didn't have much space to put that in. He beat the goalie stick side high, and the goalie made a nice job. He's working that pipe real good, trying to make Holdridge shoot far pipe, and Caleb just snuck it past him.
Coach Holdridge has been ringing the bell the last 3 or 4 shots, and finally one found the back of the net, and that's what I like to see out of a kid like that. Keep working, and one of them's going to fall.
Well, they've all been good shots. He's been clean to shoot, and that was the first time he was just maybe a yard or two higher and just changed his angle a little bit just to get a little more of the cage exposed to the ball.
Wade wins the face-off by Waterford. Under a minute remaining here in the first period, tied at 3. Lefort in front, nice pass, broken up, loose. Who's going to come out with it? It's going to be controlled, trying by Huda. He's on the ball, and Huda will have it for Waterford. 35 seconds remaining here. Waterford looking to go on top at the end of the first period. Bowdish has it in front, defended by Belandi. Bowdish rips, and a beautiful save by Brodeur.
So Brodeur tracked that well. That shot was very direct. It was high to high, and Brodeur had a good look at it. So I don't think that challenge in there on that shot at that stage, Waterford probably wants to get touches a little more.
Schaffner went all the way down the field and ripped the shot off with 9.5 seconds remaining, and it will be East Lyme ball behind the net. They have one last opportunity for a shot. Waterford maintaining contact. Scrum, ball up, loose. Who's going to get it? Still loose. And we are now at the end of the first period. A lot of action there, Coach, in front of the net. Waterford fortunate that nothing got a bad bounce. And at the end of one period, we are tied at 3.
I tell you, the ball was up in the air for about 20 seconds. And in that time and space, Waterford's lucky James Mccoy at 6'3" or 4" and just, reach his hand up to 10 feet and grab it.
Those moments like that at the end of the period always terrify me when I'm watching any, hockey, lacrosse, soccer. It's those last seconds right before you get to that sort of end of a period. Things get loose, things get a little hectic, and that one breakdown, and that time the ball bouncing around like that, and you're right, you're just waiting for somebody to grab it and get a shot off. But 3-3 at the end of the first period. Your thoughts on what we saw here in the first period between these two teams?
Very good.
So far, excellent lacrosse. Ball's getting up and down. Not a lot of transition in terms of shots off of odd man breaks. Waterford's been pretty patient and have worked their way to get some good shots. East Lyme has scored on the very few shots they've taken. So they have not had as many settled sets.
East Lyme's got to be happy with the efficiency of their offense and the play of their keeper. I think Brodeur has played very well, very solid in the first. But at the same time, is Waterford happy with the amount of opportunities they've been getting? Are these the kind of shots Waterford is hoping to have?
I think right now both coaches are telling their teams they're getting sort of done exactly what they wanted, and to be basically 0-0 after 12 minutes, a lot of lacrosse left, and there's a lot of adjustments to be made. I think moving forward, this is where to me it gets interesting because right now it's a draw. And something's going to have to give, or some small strategy unhitched to sort of move the needle.
Sports Doctor, what are you thinking?
Yeah, the message in the huddle, Casey, for Waterford, and Coach, you might agree with this, is don't force it. We got caught out of position a few times. We had the wrong people out there, the wrong personnel, and we just got caught a little bit off guard on a defensive end. As far as offensively goes for the Lancers, keep pushing. Some of these shots are going to go in. So keep working and don't force the issue if you don't have the numbers on the defensive end.
To this point, both teams have had offensive midfielders stuck on defense. On the last set for Waterford, Belandi's was stuck out there, and I didn't know that he was so much of a two-way midi as much as an O midi. So to this point, that's sort of odd that they've both had teams or kids stuck in spaces that they don't want them.
Well, the mismatches that the teams are looking for and the mismatches they end up with often dictate the opportunities that they get. And so far, I think both teams have worked for those mismatches. But like you said, Coach, you never know what you're going to get stuck with. Players going to have to, get themselves out of uncomfortable situations. Luther Wade wins the face-off for Waterford, who are now going right to left, and we're going to get a flag. That's going to be against East Lyme. Waterford in the offensive zone, though, in control, so they'll get to run this out. And they're going to try to get Wade off the field and get Bowdish in, and they successfully do that as Lefort will hold back behind the net. Now he makes a run. He's going to look for a cutting Jacobson. Jacobson drifts, looking for the ball, and he gets it.
So Waterford has a free shot now because they have a delayed penalty on. So we'll see if they're real patient and working really hard to get a shot at the doorstep.
Mason Lefort, Michael Lefort, Jacobson, Huda, Bowdish, and Holdridge. The big scoring group for Waterford. 3-3 here in the second period. 11 minutes remaining in the ECC Lacrosse Championship. Boys Lacrosse, Waterford, and East Lyme.
So already an interesting adjustment by Gary White. He put Norwegian on the wing as a long stick midi, and he drew Bowdish. So they've already made that switch to maybe shut off that alley for Bowdish.
Yeah, we saw them do that last year. They put Norwegian on Bowdish last year for portions of the game as well. I think they like his speed and size in that matchup. The penalty, of course, against East Lyme. Sports Doctor, what do you got?
Yeah, number 25, 1 minute for slashing Casey. Yet another East Lyme penalty. Let's see if the Lancers can capitalize.
That penalty was on Norwegian, his second penalty of the game, so his physical style has gotten him sidelined a couple times here. Waterford will try to take advantage of the opportunity.
You know, at 3-3, though, East Lyme hasn't really paid at this stage for any of these penalties.
That's a very good point, Coach. We are at a neutral ball game right now. Bowdish, Jacobson, Lefort. Lefort thought about it, instead dumps it behind the net to his brother Mason. In front, Holdridge rips and scores! Caleb Holdridge beats Brodeur, and for the first time in the ball game, Waterford has a lead 4-3 with 10:28 remaining here in period number 2.
So even there, a nice adjustment by Coach Landry in the man up. They placed Mason Lefort behind and swung Michael to the wing and got a little different ball rotation this time to get Holdridge to stick free.
You know, we were looking at the statistics of Waterford before the game, and I think they're fascinating. You've got 47 goals and 51 assists from Holdridge, which is a remarkable number of points, but very, very balanced. After that, a lot of goal scorers with Michael Lefort at 24 and Jacobson and Huda at 25 and 26, Bowdish at 32, and even Mason Lefort at 17. But 41 assists for Michael Lefort and 51 for Holdridge. So all the offense going through those two players. We have a timeout on the field. 4-3 Waterford with 10:18 remaining. And we were talking about the ratio of assists to scoring. And Waterford is really in what good lacrosse looks like, right? About 60% of the scoring coming on assisted goals.
Yeah, the style has swung to head-up dodge, draw two, and dunks, and it really is sort of playing to the strength of Jacobson and Huda, as they really have a lot of IQ inside, and they are good in small spaces. So I think it's gone hand in hand, and Bowdish has kept up his scoring prowess. He's from a little further out. He's generally way above the cage, and Holdridge and Michael Lefort are generally hovering below and are sort of like a basketball point guard. Dribble, drive, and dish out to the edge for your three-point shooter.
Well, it's gotten them a 4-3 lead here in the second period. Sports Doctor was down in the East Lyme huddle. What'd they have to say?
Yeah, Gary White's message to his team, we got to find where 21 and 16 are at all times on the offensive end for the Lancers. You got to check them. You got to mark them. And his message to his goalie was, hug the pipe. Hug the pipe, son, because they're going to try and sneak one by you.
Thank you, Sports Doctor. Yeah, and that's what we saw, right? We saw Holdridge hit the pipe, 4 times there in the first period. So clearly they're going in that direction, and that's a good message from Gary White. But, I mean, does it really need to be said that you need to find Bowdish and Holdridge at all times on the field? I mean, it seems almost a little too, hey, you got to guard Kevin Durant and Steph Curry. It's like, I feel like it's kind of an obvious thought.
You know, sometimes, though, in the world of coaching, it just feels good to say the obvious. Sometimes the kids are real emotional, and they got the sweat and the salt hitting them in the eyeballs, and they just need to hear it.
That's a good point, Coach. You're right. It can't hurt to say it out loud, right? Put that into the universe for them to hear. Waterford now with Michael Lefort and Huda behind the net. Lefort rolls left, looks in front, kicks it all the way back out to Bowdish, and now up top, Holdridge's going to make a run. Holdridge to his left, fake, shoots low, and what a beautiful goal! Caleb Holdridge goes low right and beats Brodeur, and Waterford with a 5-3 lead. What a beautiful goal.
So sort of a role switch. Bowdish took that right wing, and Holdridge goes ISO dodge, and he's got a two-way go, but he goes strong hand down the left alley. And I think I think the goalie Brodeur, I don't think he had a good look at it. I think he was slightly screened by Jacobson and it beat him outside the left ankle.
Yeah, that was a beautiful goal. Just the angle of the shot, coming from nowhere and just beats him. That's exactly right. Lower left, right off the ankle, and a 5-3 lead. Waterford with its biggest lead of the game, 2 goals here. 9:51 remaining in period number 2.
So East Lyme has Hart back at the face-off X, and he does another nice job causing a scrum.
And it's controlled now by Waterford. Out of the pack came Eckert. Dylan Eckert, the long stick, rolls. He gets drilled, no penalty. Waterford still maintains possession.
Norwegian got away with one there happily. He's playing rough, and you know what? That might be the spirit they need to keep them on their toes.
It's remarkable how much this game resembles last year's game in that respect. Waterford was sort of outskilling East Lyme on the offensive end, and East Lyme became much more physical and much more sort of aggressive in their defending, and it opened things up in later periods.
So here's a little strategy change after the 5th Waterford goal. East Lyme has slid themselves back into a zone, which was very effective in the first matchup.
Lefort had a look. Michael Lefort in front, went to his knees on a little slide shot, and I think he wanted that one. He missed it. Nice save by Brodeur. Now Mason Lefort up on top. It goes to Jacobson. Waterford swings. Lefort looking to distribute. In front it goes. Jacobson shot. Hits the post. Ricochets all the way out towards midfield. They're hungrily waiting for it where it's scooped up and kicked back in by Mason Lefort. And it's anybody's ball. Now out of the pack comes East Lyme. Schaffner with the ball. And East Lyme will have possession. Another missed opportunity by Waterford.
I'll say if there's been a ground ball of the game so far, it was clearly won there by Connor Schaffner. He came in, he knifed into the pack, got possession of a loose ball, and Waterford have an opportunity there to go up by 3, and East Lyme now has an opportunity to close it back to 1. So it's a really nice play by the attackman from East Lyme.
Mccoy with the ball for East Lyme. We have not said his name much. The fireballer for East Lyme has not had any touches here in the early going. Hart now with the ball back up top to Mccoy.
So now Mccoy has a nice matchup on Jacobson as a short stick, and which is really the first time he's been able to dodge.
Oh, nice pass in front. Point blank shot, no good as Hart had a good look but went wide of the net. Swenson with the ball, gets a pick. Looking in front, nothing there.
So both teams switching out middies mid-run. East Lyme trying to play 5v5 for about 10 seconds and didn't really generate anything, but that might be something that comes on as the game wears out.
Smile on my face as freshman Quincy Foreign into the ball game for Waterford, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say I have worked with and been friends with his father for 22 years, and I knew Quincy when he was born, and so smile on my face as I see the freshman get a little playing time here in this championship game. Waterford on top 5-3 here in the second period with 6:56 remaining. Penalty on the field. And that's going to give East Lyme an opportunity here.
So East Lyme is now drawing their first man up for the day.
Sports Doctor, what do we got?
Yeah, Waterford penalty on 23, Casey. 30 seconds for holding.
Yep.
Joe Lillis with the penalty.
And it was probably worth it in terms of doorstep shots, because when McCoy drew Jacobson out, he did a really nice job of finding number 23 on the crease, and he got a great stop.
Oh, there's a great look in front, and Alden scores. Beautiful pass from Schaffner to Andrew Alden, point blank, right in front on the doorstep, and he beats Alloway, and the Vikings are back within 1. 5-4 Waterford with 6:44 remaining.
That is Alden's second cut, scorching down towards the right pipe in this game, and he's showing a lot of prowess at it. Looks like something he's very comfortable doing, and his attackmen clearly know the space that he wants to be fed. It was very seamless.
Coach, is that a set piece off the power play for the East Lyme?
Well, it might be a little quick inbound thing that the attackman takes a quick look at, and it could just it could be looked at as an innocent flash of the goal and maybe try to go over that to another shooter. But he got his stick free, and Schaffner put a ball on him. He didn't have to move very far to get it.
The scoring percentage for East Lyme is remarkable right now. They have been incredibly efficient on the offensive end. And we get a whistle and a timeout, East Lyme. We'll find out momentarily what Coach Chris Landry is saying down in the Waterford huddle. But, I mean, it feels like East Lyme has only had about 5 or 6 shots today, and they got 4 goals. Whereas it feels like Waterford's had about 20 shots for their 5. Am I not seeing something, or is East Lyme taking advantage of the limited opportunities, or is this a specific sort of style of play?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, if you're Chris Landry, you're feeling like you should have already been able to pad this lead and sort, not to pull away, but to get a cushion. And Coach White, you're feeling like if you get a couple more possessions, you can really do some damage because your kids are playing with a lot of high IQ, and they're finding free sticks, and it's not taking very long to do it. So I think both coaches, from an offensive perspective, sort of probably feel like they can control it with their offensive skill kids. I would say both coaches, from a defensive perspective right now, I think the East Lyme guys probably have a little more confidence because they're saying we can hold up to a long possession and force a bad shot, and our goalie's going to make a save. Where Waterford, on the other hand, they're saying, well, geez, criminy, these possessions are going 30 seconds and we're giving up a doorstep shot, so we got to tighten up.
Yeah, it feels like if Waterford doesn't have the ball, they don't have possession, East Lyme scores. But it feels like Waterford's going to score every time they have a possession because of how good their offense has been. Sports Doctor, what is Coach Landry saying?
Yeah, and it's exactly right, Casey. Coach Landry was talking about possession. We need to flip possession here, spread the field a little bit on offense, and put some more pressure on their goalie. You hit the nail on the head. It was all about ball possession during that timeout in Lancer Nation.
Thank you, Sports Doctor. It is Vikings ball right now, and they'll have it under control with Trevor Soames, and he'll play it through the keeper, Eric Brodeur, and East Lyme will transition out. Bad pass from the keeper, but Soames nicely. But now he loses it in front. There's a big turnover. And Waterford, can they seize opportunity? Foreign can't grab it. Ball still loose and out of the pack comes East Lyme on a run in front, and a bad pass, and Schaffner couldn't handle the pass from Jakozak. And it'll be a turnover, Waterford ball, and a break for the Lancers. Long stick close, looks in transition fields, and we get a whistle and a timeout quickly. I believe that one's on Waterford as well. I think Coach Landry saw that they were a little out of sorts there, trying to calm things down in a 1-goal game.
Well, Waterford was more than out of sorts. They were off sides. And before the referees got their count on, Coach Landry clicked off a timeout. That was probably the best timeout in the last 6 months he's taken.
That's a heads-up timeout right there, because not giving up the advantage. Right now, that 1-goal lead is precious with 5 minutes and 49 seconds remaining here in period number 2. You are watching boys lacrosse, the ECC finals between the East Lyme Vikings and the Waterford Lancers. Casey O'Neill along with the coach Ray Lefort, sports doctor Keith O'Brien down on the sidelines as game day brings you game 1 of championship rematch Thursday. Later on tonight, East Lyme and Stonington girls in a rematch of last year's finals as well. Sports doctor.
Coach, in the huddle here during the timeout, Chris Landry talked about a short clear, then dropping back 5 yards to set up an offensive run here. Possession, shot, good look is the message in the huddle there.
I would say that they're probably going to look to get the ball to a short stick. You know, it's interesting, when you take a timeout when you've just recovered a ball deep in your half of the field, which you're not allowed to do in college lacrosse, when you do that, you're also allowing the defense to set up a ride on you. And they're going to be set up now, and you just gave the defense a chance to get all their good players out there, all the kids who are specifically good at certain roles. So, like right now here, you're seeing it. They're all sunk back. All the jerseys are marked up. This is not going to be a walk in the park right here for Waterford to get the ball to their offensive half.
The most often spoken word in the huddle, though, was listen. Listen, Coach. You can relate to that.
Well, because the kids are amped up. And like now they're going to try to get the ball over here to Logan Bowdish. Oh, he was open there, and they missed him. And he's open again, and now he's going to walk it over. And, right there, that shows up. The freshman goalie's not playing like a freshman because he found an open target again. He's not panicked. So, sometimes, when I'm evaluating goalies, I see a lot of kids who make a lot of saves, but not a lot of kids who make a lot of good decisions at this stage in their lacrosse career.
And that was a very, very calm and collected reset by Waterford, getting it into Bowdish's hands, and now they're on the offensive side of things. Holdridge gives it back behind to Lefort, and Michael Lefort will orchestrate this possession over to his brother Mason. Up top it goes to Jacobson and swung around to Bowdish.
So East Lyme is slid back in their zone. They have their 4 poles on the corners, which forces a little more inside play for Waterford. They've got in there on the crease, they've got the 2 short sticks. They've got Alden and they've got Belandis. So this is also a group they probably have that they wouldn't mind to get in a little transition because Belandis runs very well.
Lefort with the ball behind the net for Waterford. Alden out, checking him on the mark. In deep now. Holdridge shoots off the side of the net. And out of bounds it will go. And a nice effort there by Alden, but not enough time. Waterford will retain possession. Alden tried hard to beat Lefort to the ball, but couldn't quite get there. And I think Holdridge that time was testing to see if he can get a shot off. I don't think he had any real intention of that going in. I think he just wanted to kind of probe this defense there with that shot.
To see how far out he can get a good look. He was probably there about 14, which for his range isn't bad, but the goalie still gets a good look at you.
Lefort backs off, gives it over to Mason Lefort. Now Waterford looking to reset. Mason Lefort just inside the 30-yard line and puts it back out to Jacobson.
In the last calendar year, one of the interesting things is that Coach White has added some quality coaches to his staff. So he's added Kevin Frank, who was a defensive assistant over at Conn College, and they're very well known in the NESCAC as an excellent zone defense. So that little wrinkle, just the coaching and the knowledge, that's been a leg up for them, and they are very, very proficient right now in the zone. Waterford has not gotten a clean look yet in this set.
Rip, and a beautiful save by Brodeur. He had that one lined up from Bowdish all along. The New England Small College Athletic Conference, NESCAC, is a outstanding conference for sports, and also, like we were talking about before, schools with really bright kids. So the IQ, the pure IQ there in the NESCAC school is very high. And that goal in front out of nowhere, Connor Schaffner beats Alloway. I think there was a missed defensive assignment. We're all tied at 5 with 3:03 remaining here in the second.
Well, that was back to what I've mentioned about 5 minutes ago about playing 5v5. Schaffner took the ball to the cage while they had 5 offensive players for East Lyme, and there were 5 for Waterford. So Waterford wasn't all the way set. And Schaffner Connor does a nice job there of working his way, a little S-dodge at that right pipe, and got a stick above goal line extended and gets a good angle.
And we are all tied at 5. Waterford with a 2-goal lead evaporates here in the second period. 3:03 remaining, and we have ourselves a tie. Wade, nice job out in the middle. Again, that time by Flaherty of East Lyme. And Flaherty wins the faceoff from Wade. And East Lyme with a chance. Flaherty on a run all the way. Open look, shoots wide, save Alloway. And just smacked out of there by Lillis. Lefort controls for Waterford. Now Waterford looking to get a little run in transition. Lefort spins left and resets behind the net. It goes to Holdridge.
And that whole kind of unsettled, East Lyme does a great job. Their guys are running into the crease. They're running down to get into their zone defense. And here's another interesting little wrinkle because now James Mccoy is sitting in here as a defender.
That's a big body in the zone.
So they're setting themselves up to run in transition and trap a Waterford offensive midfielder on Mccoy on the next turnover.
That's some chess play right there. I enjoy that, Coach. In front, Rip Jacobson off the post. And out of bounds, it'll stay Waterford ball, but a rip shot by Kyle Jacobson, the sophomore. Let that one fly.
They've hit about 6 posts already, but guess what? It counts as a save. And that also is an indication that Brodeur is building some good angles on the shooters. There's not a lot of cage that's available right now to them.
That's right, and it's not like they're hitting cages with open shots too. He's right there, and they're hitting pipe because there's no place else for them to go. Rock solid Brodeur here in the early going. Jacobson now up top to Holdridge. Bowdish looking in. Rip shot low and wide by Holdridge. It'll stay, however, Waterford ball.
And the shot by Jacobson is a shot that he would not take in the first matchup. So a little confidence. They've seen some more zones, and they've had some more time to work out the wrinkles of their zone offense. If he can keep producing that shot, that's about a 12-yard shot. That's not bad. Waterford would probably take that as the day went on another 3 or 4 times.
Bowdish up top. Jacobson running the point for Waterford. Now gives it up to Holdridge. Back to Jacobson. Holdridge looks to rip, runs. Jacobson, pass was a little bit behind him that time by Holdridge, and Waterford resets.
Different wrinkle now, popping Holdridge off the crease, one of your better shooters, and now Jacobson's in that space again.
He had Mason Lefort, but he overshot him, and it will be East Lyme ball. Coming out of that was Norwegian.
And that's the hidden stat line of the zone defense, forcing Waterford to make 15, 20 passes. And next thing you know, the ball glances off a stick and all of a sudden it rolls out of bounds. And there's a turnover that it looks innocent in the stat line, but a possession ends without a shot.
In front, open look, spin, Schaffner, goal! Rob Swenson! Right in front, Swenson beats Alloway, and the Vikings back on top with 40 seconds remaining in the second.
And that's sort of what we're getting at. East Lyme willing in transition to play 4-on-4 or 3v3 and just taking advantage of the bigger space on the field before Waterford settle in. A nice face dodge to get the stick top side. A shot that, not a lot of velocity on the shot, but perfect placement.
Yeah, Swenson just got that angle and had a little open look. And with 40 seconds remaining, Waterford has seen 3 straight goals by East Lyme. The Vikings now back on top, 6-5.
Interesting to see if Waterford will push their transition and try to get a shot or 2 off before East Lyme sets up in their zone.
Wade wins the faceoff.
Like right here.
Up in front. Ball loose. Waterford controls. Lefort, open look, rip, and a goal from Holdridge on a beautiful look by Michael Lefort. What a nice set play by Waterford. Lefort with the vision. Cross field to an open Holdridge, and he rips, and just like that, 4 or 5 seconds later, we're tied at 6.
And it's like, I was just in the sentence, it's a quick goal in unsettled. So that whole scrum occurs, and 26 for Waterford. Cyril, he gets over the top. It forces a 4v3. A slide comes up the field, and now you have a 2v3 in a 20-yard space. And I think when you see a zone defense, I think you have to be willing to take some more chances unsettled and get your shot off before the defense is sort of fronted up and set up on you.
It's also got to take some recognition, and that time it was Lefort that recognized it, that when you're facing a zone, going cross field, switching fields against a zone usually results in there being open space. He found Holdridge that time by just knowing that against a zone, that's going to be a spot that's open, a soft spot in the zone.
So here East Lyme is back in it. They're setting up. Waterford's a little slow to get their people on. We'll see if they get off a shot.
Yeah, Lefort gets one. Yeah, not a real. That's more of a shot for purposes of time's sake. It wasn't really the look that Waterford would have wanted there. With only 0.2 seconds remaining here, they're not going to get a chance another shot. We are at the end of the second period. We were 3-3 at the end of 1, and we're 6-6 at the end of 2.
But a big difference, though, because East Lyme has used opportunities, odd man breaks, to produce great shots, and they're very efficient right now. And their zone forcing Waterford to make a lot of passes.
Sports Doctor has Waterford coach Chris Landry. Sports Doctor.
Well, Chris, Coach Landry, that goal to close out the first half, how important was that for your team?
That was huge. Last couple of years, East Lyme's kind of got that last goal, and that really gave them the momentum going into the second half. And this game's all about momentum. We got to keep on winning the face-offs, getting the ground balls, and then capitalize when we can.
What's the message here at halftime to the team?
Be tough. Play 4 quarters. Dig deep. Let's not give anything up.
Look in the second half. Hey, Casey, we're right back where we started. 6-6 going into halftime.
We were just saying, Sports Doctor, it's like end of first period, we were 3-3. We're at halftime, we're 6-6. We are poised for a second half of lacrosse. The first game between these two teams, 11-9, we're sort of right on the same pace as that first game, where these two teams, I think they could play 100 games, and I think it'd all be closely contested games. These two teams sort of know each other, and their skills almost complement it being a close game.
Yeah, and I think that there is a lot of familiarity. Just reflecting into a summer lacrosse setting, Norwegian and Bowdish were on the same summer team at some point in time, so they're very familiar with each other. The second goalie, the goalie that's on the bench right now for East Lyme, Fusaro, another kid who plays. So there's a lot back and forth, and there's a lot of familiarity, and I think it lends itself to a tight game.
The observation was that the game's maybe a little too fast right now for James Mccoy. I think that's an interesting observation, that the speed has sort of left him in fewer situations to score. That's the East Lyme fireballer Mccoy. Talk a little bit about what East Lyme did by putting him back in that zone at the end of the second period. Is that in an effort to get him in a good matchup? Because obviously they need him to be involved.
Well, it's curious because you've seen him now guarding Jacobson behind the cage one-on-one in a defensive role, and then he appears late in the second quarter as the high midi in the zone, which would normally be an outlet. And I think maybe Coach White wants to get him involved in numbered breaks, whereas he's generally a set shooter and generally a settled sixes kind of player, but East Lyme's not really right now playing settled offense. They're pushing the numbers. So I think maybe Coach wants to get James involved in the offense before it settles in.
So 6-6 halftime, and I feel like both teams, I think East Lyme has to feel pretty good about themselves. If I'm looking at it from an East Lyme perspective, our offense has been very efficient. Our goalie's playing well. We've done a decent job once we've dropped into the zone at least making Waterford work for their goals. I would be disappointed if I were Gary White at that last Waterford goal in the transition, because I think that was a little too easy, and you nailed it right on the head. But I'd feel pretty good overall if I were East Lyme. On the other side of things, if I'm Waterford, I feel really good about my offense and all the opportunities that we've gotten, and I think they're going to go to school on the zone here at halftime. I think that's got to be the message, is how they want to attack that zone. But I can't feel good defensively if I'm Waterford, because anytime East Lyme has a possession, they seem to get, not only do they seem to score, but they seem to get really good looks.
Yeah, and it's happened quick. Waterford defensively is pretty fleet-footed, and a kid like James Mccoy is a big body, and he might want to back you down, but you really haven't seen that happen yet. I still think you've got the good matchup with Close, Waterford's number 12, on Swenson. You really haven't seen them go one-on-one any more than once at this stage. That might be something that Coach White wants to get to in the second half, because he's a great feeder. So even if Close plays tough D and Swenson gets half a step, that's where McCoy shows up again with that big step-down shot.
We're going to bring the sports doctor in and have him join the conversation.
Coach Ray Lefort. Coach, first of all, congratulations to you personally on a huge run with the Coast Guard team this year, and NUMAC final, and come up a little bit short against Springfield, but I was around some of those games, and I just wanted to say congratulations. It was a tremendous year down at the academy.
I really appreciate that, Keith. We've had a lot of buy-in. When you launch a Division III program from club, a lot of people have to be on board, and I've really had a lot of people want to help roll up their sleeves and get this program off to the right start. It's been a real 4-year build. The message has been the same for 4 years, but the players are bought in.
Yeah.
The kids are settled into their roles. Our practices have gotten very challenging. I think that's the big jump. As our roster went from 34 players a year ago to this year, we added a big class, and now we're at 43 players. I think when you can really scrimmage, play full substituted field lacrosse in an inter-squad scrimmage with 22 kids on a side, I think your game jumps. And
Right.
And our guys are competitive. They work very hard, and they look at practice as the opportunity to get better.
Is this what it takes for a program coach? Does it take 3 or 4 years maybe to make your mark, to get your guys in there a little bit? This is what, your 4th year as a head coach?
Yep.
Is this what it normally takes on a Division 1, 2, 3 level?
Well, I don't know. Like years back, University of Michigan won the club lacrosse D1 tournament, and then they launched. They went to D1 NCAA, and it's hard. They're 7-8 years into it now, and they're just sort of hanging in that same space. If you're going to start to pick off, the big people in your competition base. This year we made a very big bump in the quality of opponent. Early on, we brought in Wesleyan, and we were lucky to beat them. We were lucky to beat them 10-9. They're playing for the national championship on Sunday.
Number 2 team in the country at the time, weren't they, Coach?
In one poll, they were 1, and the other they were 2, and we were just ecstatic. And
well, you're doing the game with a Wesleyan grad, so I mean, we don't want to go down that road, but you can throw a little egg on his face if you want. I mean, it's all right.
Well, both teams played very hard that night.
Yeah.
We responded to everything they did. They jumped out on us 3-0. We got it to 3-3. They took it to 6-3. We got it to 6-6. And then we were up 9-8. With 30 seconds to go, they tied the game. We won overtime. We won the face-off. I called the timeout, and our offensive coordinator got the ball to Anthony Weiler, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
But our whole mojo really dates back to the year before, going up to Springfield and beating them 9-8 up there on a cold and rainy Wednesday night.
Kind of catapulted your program a little bit.
Well, I think that was the first time that we had gone toe-to-toe with the biggest of big dogs for us and gotten the confidence to play 60 minutes.
Yeah. Coach, and one last thing, too, and how do you obviously sports is a big deal in your household, lacrosse and football. How do you separate being a dad from a coach to a fan? How do you manage all that?
It's funny, when my kids come home, Mason wants to talk about what's for dinner, and he wants to go pick off his homework. And Michael, he's sort of waiting for me to critique him, and maybe I give him a little something, but I sort of want to move on and give him a big hug. I guess I can be very analytical, and sometimes I don't like to talk about it in my house the night it happened. Maybe 2 days later we'll just talk about it and get out the salt and pepper shakers and move them around at the table. But at the end of the day, you're a dad, you love your kids, and you want to see them happy and excel. And I think for my family, lacrosse has been a great spot.
Yeah.
And my daughter loves it, my wife coaches it, and it's just a whole lot of fun for us.
Well, we got a great second half under tap. I'll bring Casey back in. 6-6, Casey, with about a minute to go here in the half. And you guys are right. The Norwegian kid for East Lyme is a monster. He is bigger than me and then some, Coach. You got to have a few of those on the squad next year down at the academy.
Well, Andrew is a Coast Guard family. His dad, Adams, is a Master Chief, and it's a tough crew over there. And the academy's lucky Adam Norwegian's coming back to the academy next year to help him be a mentor to the cadets, and we're just lucky to have him.
Well, the Norwegian family is a lacrosse family, a Coast Guard family, and then right now my family. You talk about lacrosse and yours. I'm missing a Little League game right now. I'm the coach of my son's Little League team. We got a divisional game right now, and I'm getting videos sent to me from both my wife and my mom, who are trying to keep me up to date. 4-0, good guys in the Little League game right now. But we talked a little bit at halftime about Waterford they're going to have to go to town on that zone. They're going to have to attack it. If it was you and you were coaching this Waterford team, you're certainly familiar enough with them. What's the strategy to go attack that zone that East Lyme put out there? And Coach Landry has to have noticed Mccoy in that zone spot, knowing what they're trying to do. What's the approach from Waterford's side of things?
The counter to James playing defense and running the field in transition is not substituting off of him, is going skin for skin as the ball transitions and just shadowing him. If the D midi for Waterford or if the O midi subs out it creates a 4v3, and you might not want that to occur. The challenge Waterford offensively is to flood out and get a third or a fourth stick on the side and cause a flood. And if you want to get a perimeter shot, the next strategy would be to play 2 crease players, which is what they're doing, and to have one down pick or off-ball pick for the other to get a free stick.
Well, we'll see what East Lyme does on its first possession. Cam Hart won the faceoff from Luther Wade, and East Lyme has the first possession of the second half. 6-6 here at East Lyme High School. Up on top, it will go to Andrew Alden, and there it is in the hands of Mccoy. Mccoy going one-on-one with Searle. Mccoy looks to rip, shot, and a goal! Just like that, the fastball. James Mccoy, 30 seconds into the second half, puts the Vikings on top, 7-6.
And he got down to the right alley. He's a right-handed shooter. His stick's outside. He leans his left shoulder in on Searle, who is, and James is 6'4", so that might be something that you see more and more of. Coach Landry might have to either change the matchup or slide very fast to that.
And I know firsthand the fastball off the stick of McCoy, he can bring it, and that's just a difficult shot for a keeper to defend. He can go anywhere with that shot, and it puts the Vikings on top 7-6, 11:30 remaining here in the third period. Face off that time in the scrum in transition. East Lyme comes out with it. Straight up the field, whipped, shot, and a goal by Norwegian. Just like that, the big long stick, Norwegian rips it home, and the Vikings in 43 seconds have scored 2 goals to open the second half.
Well, both second half face-offs have been won, or really not directly won, but East Lyme's causing a scrum. Norwegian's come up with both of them. And there he gets down the middle. No one slides. He gets to about 10 yards. The goalie tracking a ball out of a long stick shooter is very difficult, and Andrew's very proficient at threading the needle.
Wade's going to have to take this one. Cam Hart has been fierce with Wade. Now Wade comes out of it with the face-off win this time, and the official takes a spill. But Wade gets it over to Holdridge. Waterford looking to rebound. They're down by 2 goals for the first time today. Lefort recovers possession now behind the goal. Bowdish, Jacobson, and Huda set up shop in their offensive spaces in front. There it goes, and a goal by Huda. Beautiful look, Michael Lefort to Ryan Huda, and just like that, Waterford cuts it to 1.
Waterford goal number 18.
So East Lyme coming out of halftime changes their defense. They're back into man. But a little wrinkle, they have a short stick midfielder basically face guarding Caleb Holdridge, which is good and bad because although Holdridge might not have the ball, as marked right here, Huda gets a free cut down the middle. So I think sometimes when kids are in positions that they're not familiar with, I think sometimes that there's a quick learning curve. So maybe East Lyme's going to work out those wrinkles in the next possession or two. We'll see if they jump back into that.
Very physical face-off that time, and the referees are going to blow the whistle. It'll be Waterford ball. Waterford will send Searle down the left edge. He's going to get it to Lefort, and in comes Bowdish and Mason Lefort for Waterford, the scoring 6. Now Jacobson joins the fray, and here come the 6. Lefort and Holdridge. Holdridge with the ball. Up top it goes to Mason Lefort. He'll swing to Bowdish, and East Lyme sets into that defense.
So East Lyme still with the 2 short stick defensive midfielders occupying the middle. And Waterford's trying to rotate the ball from right to left. The lefties are very much dominant here, and this ball goes errant. And now East Lyme recovers. Another reason to play some zone, forcing Waterford to make with the extra pass.
Yeah, Holdridge was in a really good spot, but the communication between he and Lefort just not there. I thought you were going to go one place. You went someplace else. That's another thing that the communication required when you have to make that many passes. You had to talk.
So Waterford is locking off all the targets here. The goalie is clean, and he makes a little inside pass to number 1.
Galbo,
and they've made a nice clear here.
Galbo dumps it back to Schaffner. And Galbo will head back onto the defensive side of things now. Schaffner straight up the middle. He gives it to Belandis. And back to Alden. East Lyme in no hurry. 9:30 remaining here in the third period. 8-7 Vikings. Allen.
So East Lyme ISO in on the short sticks of Waterford and compressing the defense all the way down to the 10-yard line, which is the goal line extended.
13, that's Swenson.
So this is the matchup we were talking about a little earlier. Really haven't seen much of this, of Robbie Swenson and Kevin Close go one-on-one since the first quarter.
Back on top. East Lyme will make another run at it. Here comes Alden in the middle. Alden shoots and he scores! Andrew Alden beats Alloway. And the Vikings back on top 9-7.
Number 2, Andrew Alden.
And they've gone down that right alley now for 2 of the 3 goals this quarter. Alloway holding the left pipe. I'm not sure if he got beat off stick there, but Waterford's a little late to slide on those right-handed alley dodges right now.
Yeah, right now Waterford has got to be concerned that East Lyme looks like they're turning it up a notch here. And a 2-goal lead, I think Waterford's got the firepower to score goals, but they've got to come up with some answers on how to defensively stop East Lyme. These goals are coming too easy for the Vikings.
So James McCoy on the wing now for the first time. I think trying to get quick offense off the face-off wing.
Talk a little bit about the versatility that McCoy is showing here after we see this run straight ahead. Waterford in front, open look, tipped, and a nice save by Brodeur.
So Waterford shooting off the break. There's a push in the back right there, and the refs let it go. That's amazing.
Pushed by Jakubczak. He's being very physical. Now McCoy's in the mix with the ball, and he gets hammered. And finally, a timeout down on the field.
Well, James showed some big boy right there. He's getting checked by about 4 Waterford kids, and you know, when he lifts the stick up over his head, stick's probably about 12 feet in the air.
Sports doctor, a little bit of energy down there.
A little bit of emotion, Casey. Big James McCoy says, I'm not giving this rock up. He was getting swarmed by Waterford defenders, and I think right now the Vikings are trying to make a stand, Casey. Coach had talked about that right side against the Waterford goalkeeper where they were hammering it, finally scored a goal, and right now I think East Lyme senses their physicality may take this game over.
So I was asking a little bit before, and I think this certainly qualifies even more now. Talk a little bit about the versatility that James McCoy brings. You've just named 6 different things he's done in today's game.
Well, I believe he's a University of Hartford commit, so he's a Division I talent. Coach White is trying to get, which may be in the back of his brain, you're trying to get one of his top players around the lacrosse ball more and more. So he's on the wing now. He's out here on defense. The size and his presence right here on that last series and that ground ball and that clear, he showed up to be a wonderful player right there. And I think as a coach, you're trying to get a kid you count on, right? He's a senior, maybe 1 or 2, 3 games left in his high school career. You're trying to lean on him a little bit, and I can't blame a coach for turning to his, what he would think maybe is his best player. I do it all the time, to be honest with you.
Now I'm going to blow your mind. He's a junior.
I did not know that. I thought he was a senior.
He's a junior, and I believe you're right about being an early commit, but he's a junior. The big number 17 has got a whole nother year of terrorizing opponents here in the ECC. And speaking of McCoy, he has the ball straight away now, makes a run, down in the corner, it goes, looking for the open man, and he gave it to Swenson, and Swenson, we're going to reverse fields now. Alden will have it for East Lyme. 9-7 lead with 7:51 here in the third period. McCoy clears some space in front. Oh, tried to pass it one too many times. I think he should have ripped that shot. He absolutely buried the defender, went right over the top of him, knocked him to the ground, and I think he had a little lane, and he tried to make that one extra pass.
So Waterford switched the matchup and put Kevin Close on him, and James, used a little bit of a height-weight advantage, and he really put his shoulder into Kevin, and I guess you'd say caused a human pile.
Yeah, he certainly did. But Waterford comes out of it with the ball. Michael Lefort drifting, looking for a cutter, puts it behind the net to Holdridge. Holdridge. Back to Lefort, and Waterford will reset. Offensive possession now. Mason Lefort gets onto the field for the Lancers.
And this thing has just settled down. So if you're East Lyme, you're feeling good about what you've done. You had a little bit of momentum. Now you got Waterford in to settle the offense, forcing them to make a lot of high IQ passes, and seeing, if your goalie can get another good look at the next shot.
You got Holdridge up top. Bowdish, who's been very, very quiet here recently. He's buried Norwegian that time, put his stick into his back and created a loose ball. Still loose, and Norwegian. That's a nice play there by Norwegian, but it will end up being East Lyme ball. Excuse me, Waterford ball.
I think Waterford might have got lucky there with that call, because technically they had the last possession. The ball was not possessed by anybody when the ball was rolling around on the ground. And here comes an errant pass. The ball is going to go over the 50. Oh, it does not. The Waterford defender makes a very nice play to keep it onside.
Shizuski that time kept it in, and Waterford with a huge opportunity. Holdridge looking for a seam in front, and a beautiful pass, and the goal. Nice pass by Holdridge to Huda, who puts it away and cuts the lead to 1. 9-8 East Lyme with 6:04 remaining.
Holdridge makes a quick feed into the wing. He bounced the ball back and forth to Lefort, and he makes a quick feed into a very tight space to Huda's free stick. The stick was not really very free. It was just a very nice pass, and the ball was shot without even being cradled.
Yeah, that was a beautiful, almost like a one-timer right there, and Huda just kind of kept the momentum of the pass heading towards the net, and a goal that time to within 1. And Waterford trying to capitalize now on a little bit of momentum with 6:04 remaining here in the third period. Great job again by Hart. He wins in a face-off. He has it in front, and it's lost and over to Waterford, and a whistle. Waterford ball. And they'll get Wade and Eckert off the field and get Bowdish back on the field. We've got a whistle.
I think they're going to talk on that last call. The ball was really never possessed by anybody, and it wound up rolling around on the ground all the way to Waterford's crease.
And it will be Waterford ball. The officials seem pretty clear on that, and that gives Waterford an opportunity to set up its offensive players, and East Lyme an opportunity to mark up defensively. This is going to require Waterford to have the patience that they showed last time with the goalie Alloway. And more whistles. I think the officials here are. And the officials are going to talk some more.
In high school lacrosse, the typical crew is a two-man crew. Tonight you have a three-man crew for a championship game, which I think is a great call by the ECC to pay for the extra ref. But if they're all high school refs, they don't normally work in a triangle, so there are some things to work out. It's not as cut and dry with guys that you're not that familiar with, so sometimes the operational part of the refereeing sometimes is a little cumbersome when you get a new guy in your crew.
Great pass in front, and the goal from Jacobson to tie the ball game at 9. Beautiful cut by Kyle Jacobson, and we are all brand new. What else is new? Sports Doctor, what do you got?
Coach, it looks like the speed right now of the Lancers on these little quick cuts are causing confusion on a defensive end for East Lyme. Very big, very strong, but keep an eye on the speed here in the last quarter half of the game, Case.
Well, they're sending some cutters down the right pipe where the feeders are, similar to the East Lyme early goals in the game over to Belandi's. So that might be something that they're looking to do to get to the zone before the zone sort of makes them throw 20 passes.
You mentioned the three officials, and we had this conversation throughout the basketball season because everyone wants the three-man crew in high school basketball. And it was explained that, all year long, these guys are used to working in a two-man set. So it's not just as simple as throwing another official out there. Sometimes it can actually cause some confusion because if they're not used to working in the three-man system, sometimes it takes a little while to look at anything else to maximize that. So that was a good observation that in lacrosse, the same thing happens. They work with a 2-man crew all year. Now they get dumped into a 3-person crew, and sometimes that takes a little bit of work on their part to get in communication with each other.
Yeah, and it's just sometimes standing in the right place, seeing it from a new angle. Maybe it's a place you haven't been. So Waterford here trying to get feeds from below goal line extended to cutters again, and the ball goes over the first cutter, and it looks like Waterford gets called for interference right here. So East Lyme's going to get an attempt at a clear. Waterford on the ride. Once again, marking all the midfield targets, and Waterford's riding with 2 high riders.
Yeah, Huda couldn't believe that one. Ball loose on the turf, scooped up by East Lyme. Soames with it. He's going to head down, long stick on long stick. Nice job by Close to dislodge the ball and get possession, but a little bit too much on the effort that time, but it's picked up nicely on the other side. And Waterford trying to retain out of bounds, and it'll be East Lyme ball.
Soames did a really nice job there, breaking out of the defensive half and carrying the ball to the offensive half of Waterford. For a second there, just body mechanics and awareness, he looked like Norwegian. So East Lyme's defenders not afraid of breaking out of their comfort zone and transporting the ball up the field.
East Lyme with an opportunity. Schaffner, McCoy now back up top. Belandis will go down deep to Swenson.
So McCoy now is marked by Fayen. So that's a little bit of an advantage.
Oh, shot in front, off the pipe, retained by East Lyme. Belandis with it back up top to McCoy. That one hit pipe.
McCoy being a righty and Fayen being a righty, McCoy has a little advantage here to his right hand, to his strong hand, because the head of Fayen's stick is opposite the head of McCoy's stick when they face each other.
McCoy likes to put that shoulder into the smaller defender. Nice time by Lillis, came over and double teamed.
Well, if I was 6'4", I would definitely make a living on putting my shoulder into people in lacrosse.
Absolutely.
You got to say.
Right on cue, Coach. McCoy from 25 yards out. That's a fastball outside corner and a goal. And the Vikings back on top, 10-9. 3:08 remaining in the third.
So a nice skip pass. And when I say a skip pass, not throwing to the adjacent offensive player, but skipping 2, making the goalie 2 clicks away. He's got to move twice to get square up to that shot, and James buries one in the 5-hole right between Alloway's legs. A really pretty offensive play by East Lyme.
How do you stop that shot? I mean, seriously, Casey, this McCoy kid is kind of like the Bo Jackson of the Tecmo Bowl back in the day. You can't stop him. He's big, he's strong. What a point-blank shot.
Well, I think the answer to that question is your goalie's got to be in perfect position, and you can't afford to allow his teammates to get that extra pass. And because he's going to be talented enough on his own right if you give him open looks.
Well, and the next thing you're going to have to do is not slide off him, because as you're sloughing down, drawing attention to where the ball is below the cage, you're giving space for that kid to get his stick free. And that could be a theme as we move forward through the next 14 minutes of the night.
And you just can't give him space. His very accurate and very strong, the shot by McCoy. And 1-goal lead now for the Vikings here. 2:20 remaining in the period. McCoy on the field. And he's going to get marked up by the freshman, Quincy Foran. On the other end, Alden with it, makes a run for the Vikings. Pass in front, and a shot and a save by Alloway.
So Waterford in the last possession, they've decided to shut off a similar strategy that East Lyme showed on Holdridge. They shut off James there, and just cause a moment of hesitation.
A turnover. Swenson now on the run for the Vikings. 2-on-1. Swenson to the middle. Shot, and a nice job on the backside by Bowdish. Little back check by Bowdish. Up ahead to Foran.
So Waterford got lucky there on the numbers. East Lyme had a 2-on-1 and did not get off a great shot there. Waterford very fortunate to get the ball back being down by 1 and having possession. That could have easily gone the other way.
Now, Bowdish didn't give up, came from behind, used his stick, got in there, took the ball away. And now Waterford looking to tie it up. 1:14 remaining here in the third period. It's been a doozy here. Beautifully played game. 10-9, East Lyme on top. In front, ripped Jacobson high over the goal. It'll stay Waterford ball.
So their similar skip ball from Michael Lefort to Jacobson to get the free shooter, trying to go 2 clicks on the goalie.
Bowdish to Holdridge. Holdridge checked, spins, shoots, and scores! Caleb Holdridge from nowhere, from no angle, beats the goalie. Brodeur never saw it, and we are tied at 10.
Holdridge, a very nice little pirouette, drops the stick to his right hand, pirouettes, and then comes on the spin and shoots off the inside hip of his defender. I don't think that Brodeur saw the shot even get off.
He stood there. The shot did not have a tremendous amount of velocity. He stood, I don't think he ever saw it. You're right, Coach, because he stood and almost looked down as if, how did that get there? Just saw the net rip and couldn't believe that the shot was off.
And this is what I was talking about earlier. Both these teams seem improved from the first matchup. We know we're deeper in the season. They've played more opponents. But in the last matchup, the score was 11-9, and now you're sitting at 10-10 going into the fourth. I think that both offenses are just a little more honed up for this day.
Lefort in front. Waterford wants to put one in before the end of the third period and go into the fourth period up a goal because we are tied at 10. Jacobson behind the net to Lefort. Lefort to Holdridge. You know Holdridge can shoot it from anywhere. In front, Bowdish looking to rip. Instead, back to Holdridge. 13 seconds remaining. Holdridge in front. Jacobson hits the pipe. And that ball rolls, picked up, and kept in play. But over the line that time was Eckert offsides, and it'll go over to East Lyme.
And a small change in East Lyme's zone, a little college-ish. Coach Franks, instead of having the short sticks on the crease and the low crease and the string between the mid crease and the top, he's put his short sticks now in the top corners. So now he's got poles on the inside and the low corners. So with that, he's going to be able to apply more pressure with a long stick defender to any feeders coming from Waterford. So now the strategy counters back. Does Waterford recognize it quickly and compress the corners to get a better shot from the top? Because that's where the more advantageous spaces are now.
Well, we're going to find out. We're tied at 10 heading into the fourth quarter. Sports Doctor.
Casey, all tied up, and number 11 from Waterford came off the field after hitting the post and said, "Sports Doctor, that was the third one I had, hit the post. I'm going to find the back of the net sooner or later."
Kyle Jacobson, he is ripping away. As you said, he's taken the James McCoy slot in the Waterford approach to the zone, getting him up on the high point where he gets that open look, and he's the fastball from the top. And Waterford has hit more pipes today. I think, it's a testament to good goalkeeping on East Lyme's part. They're the kids in a good position, but Waterford has putting more shots on goal, and you got to think to yourself, on a different day, it's 15-10 instead of 10-10.
And to the shots that hit the pipe, that's momentum you never get. Because it gets a little frustrating, and the goalie mentally starts to win. Because you're saying, the goal's getting tighter, everything, I'm getting squeezed. Sort of like a batter in baseball, thinking a ball's a ball, and the ump calls it a strike, and you're like, I have to hit that. So the Waterford shooters now, let's see if they can keep their composure, because they're drawing a lot of pipes, but the goalie's mentally winning.
Got to stick to the game plan. Speaking of the game plan, Sports Doctor was down in the East Lyme huddle. What's the message going into the fourth?
Well, they're just not quite ready to give up the ECC championship crown just yet, Casey. They talked about spacing. They talked about finding the back of the net. They talked about finishing. They talked about being a champion and all the little things it takes to go through the grind of the season and win a title. I can tell you right now, this is a heck of a ball game. It's a microcosm of last year, Casey. Both these teams are ready to roll.
Thank you, Sports Doctor. They are. And, Coach, there's something to it. You have to play sports and obviously play and coach to understand this, I think. The mentality that East Lyme has right now, the idea of something being, this is ours. We this is our championship. This is our home field. We're not ready for you to make that climb yet. And until Waterford can do it, it's East Lyme's championship.
Well, and you've got seniors on the East Lyme team that don't want to be the guys to let it slip. So, I mean, they're not playing desperate, but they're very determined. And, they're very composed. They've been in these big games before. It's a tradition for East Lyme to win this, and they are rising to the occasion to make this a great game.
Jacobson comes out of the pack with it for Waterford, dodging a bullet that time as that ball was loose in front of the cage, and he gets it off to Holdridge, and Waterford will take the time to reset. East Lyme looking to make a change. Back behind the net it goes to Bowdish, and check that, Huda, and now Lefort will set up shop for Waterford behind the net.
And here's where the change in strategy of where you place your poles and your short sticks, I think they're going to give Michael Lefort a little more harassment in this next set, and they're going to force the shooters from the top corners to either carry and draw two or step down and crank.
Holdridge, he wants to let it fly, and he does, and a beautiful save by Brodeur.
And then right there, that's what I'm talking about the mental edge, is Brodeur is fronted up to that shot. He is squared up in a great goaltending position, and he sees that ball from the moment it leaves Holdridge's stick into his own stick.
On the transition, the other direction, East Lyme with an opportunity in front. There it is, Belandis, and a goal! Beautiful look, Ryan Belandis right in front, and it puts East Lyme back on top, 11-10, 10-19 remaining in the ballgame.
Waterford's just getting into its defensive shape, and Belandis is underneath his defender. So even though he's marked, he's still between the ball and the goal rather than the Waterford defender being underneath him. So a really nice feed coming out of the low left corner. And that's probably the third goal he's scored today in a similar kind of offensive mode.
Yeah, he knows where to go when he gets that defender on his backside and he gets right into scoring position. He puts East Lyme up 11-10. Coach, when I had the opportunity to play goalkeeper for a few minutes against the East Lyme team, and I got a chance to face that fastball of James Mccoy, I made 2 saves. I didn't see either of them, but the point being that I got taught by the East Lyme keepers on where to be in good position. So I was in good position, I was in the right spot, and he hit me. I find that Brodeur is doing an excellent job of getting into good position so that he can see some of these long shots. And we're gonna have a penalty out there against Waterford. Sports Doctor, what do we got?
Delay a game penalty on number 26 for Waterford. 30-second penalty, Casey. Not what the Lancers need right now starting the fourth quarter, down a goal.
That's Cyril.
The delay of game, Cyril picked the ball up. The ball was called for East Lyme off of Wade's. Wade dropped it, Cyril picked it up, and he rolled it away. And just that little roll away delays the fast restart, and there's your delay of game.
See if the Vikings can take advantage and take a commanding 2-goal lead. It's hard to say that, but right now, goals at a premium in front. Beautiful look. Oh, nice pass by Swenson, but he couldn't connect with Norwegian, and it will be Waterford ball.
I think a 2-goal lead at this stage could be in the category of commanding. I think that begins to place a lot of pressure on Waterford, and I think that once the thing gets away from 2, life gets hard versus zone defense.
Lefort up top now. Jacobson wants to go up to the point. Holdridge. Now Bowdish controls, and Mason Lefort comes onto the field, and he'll take the ball for Waterford. Waterford down 1 with 9:25 remaining, trying to tie this thing up. It's been back and forth since the very opening of the ball game. Back behind the net, Michael Lefort over to brother Mason. Swinging around the top to Jacobson. Waterford being very deliberate with this possession.
So the poles on the low corners, you've got Galbo on one side, and then on the other side, you've got Soames, and they're doing a nice job of really confining that space.
And there's a turnover by Waterford. Pass over the top of Jacobson, and it's going to be East Lyme ball. They'll bring it in on the Waterford side of things. in front. Quick transition now. Swenson looking to get in front. East Lyme's been so efficient today. If they can get this goal, like you said, Coach, puts a lot of pressure on Waterford. Here comes big number 17, James Mccoy, and he'll take the ball for East Lyme at the 45. He'll make a run. He's got Fayen on him. Off the hip, puts his shoulder down, gets a space, heads to the middle, looks for a pass, and a nice job as the defender came over and took a bump, and he gets it off to Alden.
So Waterford slid, forcing McCoy to roll back to his weak hand. That's the first time they've really slid that alley that early. So that's a change.
Swenson with the long stick of close. Waterford keeping him close. Swenson goes back on top, and Alden and East Lyme is in no rush with a 1-goal lead, 7:52 remaining.
Yep, they're in a little triangle offense now up top. Dodging alleys and rolling back if they can't get their stick clean. Here's a roll back again. And now the ball's back in James's hand. He's marked by a long stick.
Fayen on McCoy. East Lyme now looking to clear up. Right edge, back behind the net. It will go to Swenson, and they'll reset. Swenson along with Schaffner.
Can't call this a stall, but you certainly can call this good lacrosse and call this a really good possession.
They're in no rush right now. They're going to force Waterford. There's a pass in front. Alden with a clean look, and he scores! The patience of East Lyme is rewarded. Andrew Alden beats Alloway low, and the Vikings are up to 12-10.
And, you know, in the patience, East Lyme's willing to take the ball down below GLE, drawing 2 Waterford poles below, and then they skip the ball back up top to a free shooter at Alden, and he does another nice job. They might have had a meeting, too, because they've beaten Alloway now twice in the second half between the legs.
Yeah, they may have said the 5-hole was an open spot. We talked before. They go to school, these kids do, these coaching staffs do, and if you're going to have a hole in your game, they're going to find it. 12-10, and Waterford now pressure surely on their shoulders. Wade does the first thing. He wins the face-off. Up ahead it goes. Clicked and loose, but retained by Cyril. And Waterford will get its offensive players onto the field. Lefort and Bowdish waiting to come in front. Huda had a chance, but it's stolen away by East Lyme on the run. Hart straight down the middle. Hart looks to fire a shot, spins, wants some space, nicely checked, and ball loose, and Waterford comes away with it with Jacobson.
So Waterford's going to get a free shot here on the delayed penalty. I got to say, they got very lucky. Hart got in very deep. He got to 6 yards and almost got a shot off there before Waterford decided to slide.
Lefort in front. Took his eyes. Bowdish has to be responsible for that one. He had an opportunity to slip through. Ball still loose as soon as East Lyme can recover, and then there's the penalty going to be enforced now, Waterford ball. Mason Lefort ahead to Michael Lefort.
So it looks to me like the flag was picked up. I have not seen that before.
Now Waterford under 6 minutes remaining. Very patient. They need to get a good opportunity here. Back behind the net. Now they've got Huda behind the net. Bowdish and Jacobson up top. Bowdish rips low and a bounce shot. Unbelievable goal by Bowdish on the bounce. Gets Waterford within 1, 12-11.
That's the first bounce shot of the night by either team.
Waterford
You know,
number 16,
Bowdish is about
Bowdish.
5'9", and the bounce shot from him, he can draw the goalie down, and the ball can then get over the goalie's shoulder when the goalie drops. But a bounce shot from a James Mccoy is even more lethal because it produces a bigger angle and the bigger topspin and the bigger bounce off the turf. So that's the first one we've seen from either team for the night.
You know, hard to believe at this point with only 5 minutes and a half remaining in the game. First bounce shot we've seen, but effective in nature. 12-11 East Lyme. Now Wade wins the face-off for Waterford, and he'll head into the zone. Ball loose, and diving for it is Huda, but it goes out of bounds, and it'll be East Lyme ball. Nice effort by Ryan Huda, but East Lyme will have it as we tick-tock down to 5.5 minutes.
Another space that's very technical in lacrosse, and you can see is clearly getting coached. East Lyme, even though they're losing face-offs, they are doing a very good job of covering targets. And so they're still doing a great job of technically post-face-off riding. Their face-off coach, Adam Rand, has been a top face-off guy in Major League Lacrosse. So clearly a strategy that probably an Adam Rand sees a lot as he wins a lot of face-offs, but targets then get shut off and things just get harder. So East Lyme's making turnovers off of a face-off loss.
Down 1, under 5 minutes remaining. Ripped shot and a goal! Bowdish again. Logan Bowdish with back-to-back goals, and oh my, we're tied at 12.
So second bounce shot.
Logan Bowdish.
Goalie just not seeing the angle. I think Brodeur was squared up. I just don't think he saw the release point, but he was squared up, and Bowdish just beat him there off the stick side.
Well, you couldn't ask for anything more in an ECC championship lacrosse match. 12-12 with just under 5 minutes remaining here in the ball game.
It's fun to see kids play well. And right now, on both sides, is a lot of kids playing well. And that's what you want to see. You want to see kids making plays. And right now, all these kids are giving great effort.
Whistle, and we're going to get, Coach Landry says, I don't know what's that all about. And they're going to say, East Lyme ball. Coach Landry not happy at all. Sports Doctor, what's going on?
Coach Landry's calling for a push down there on the sidelines, wanted possession of the ball. No dice that time for the Lancer Nation.
Instead, James Mccoy with the ball passes over to Swenson. And under 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining, the next goal could be the difference maker in this one as time becomes precious. Alden with a run, spins to his left. In front, finds Swenson, but nope, the ball falls to the turf, and East Lyme will reset now down to 4 minutes.
That's the first time of the night we've seen a skip ball down to the opposite alley. And it's a nice pass. Swenson was open. I'm wondering if that at the last timeout was discussed.
Foreign does a nice job on Jakozak, and he shoots the shot wide, but it'll stay East Lyme ball. Under 4 minutes remaining, 3:50 here in a 12-12 ball game in the ECC Championship. Mccoy looking for some space, can't get it, close, banging him, cross it goes, Swenson, nice catch that time on the stick by Swenson.
That's that skip ball to the opposite alley I just mentioned. He was open again. If the pass was a little more stick side and didn't cause him to rock back, you might have got a shot off that pass.
Alden spins, looks for space, whips a shot and scores! Andrew Alden, beneath a dejected Cooper Alloway, he got a piece of it, 5-hole again.
Yeah, it's a theme. The thing about Alden is he is showing the lacrosse ability to go down the left alley left-handed and roll back right-handed, and that's how he's getting his stick free. Yeah, East Lyme right now is in triangles offense, and just triangle rotations. They're all ISO dodges. There are no picks, and they're looking to get the ball down the alley. The nice thing about triangle offense is it burns a lot of time.
And Wade needs to win the faceoff for Waterford, and nice job by Hart keeping it ugly. Ball still loose. Going to have some transition scooped up by Foreign, and we're going to get a whistle and a timeout. Waterford will call timeout with 3 minutes and 8 seconds remaining. East Lyme 13, Waterford 12 in the ECC Boys Lacrosse Championship. The Sports Doctor is going to go eavesdrop in on the Waterford huddle and see what Coach Chris Landry has as a message for the final 3 minutes and 8 seconds. I think it's got to be get the ball to number 16 and to number 21 and let them work their offensive magic.
Well, those are your shooters, and I would say right now Coach White is probably drawing up a defense that has it slightly tilted towards those two. So, Jacobson, Huda, Mason Lefort, something like that at this stage. You know, you haven't gotten a lot of shots out of Mason Lefort. I'd be curious if they get a shot to him on this stage. You know, I would, if I'm Coach White, I'm not letting those two sticks or those two shooters of Holdridge and Bowdish be free at this stage.
Yeah.
You just know too much.
That's right. As a coach, you know the rule number one is you don't let the other guy's best player beat you. So you know if there's nothing against you know Mason Lefort or Ryan Huda or any, but you know what, they're the ones that are going to have to beat me. If I'm coaching, I'm East Lyme, I'm you know Coach White, it's not going to be Bowdish and it's not going to be Holdridge, and I'm going to try real hard to not let it be Michael Lefort. But if Jacobson or Huda or Mason Lefort can, you know, get a shot off and beat my keeper against, you know, against my defense, then so be it. But it's not going to be the other guys. That's right.
Yeah, when you put your head on the pillow, you got trying to put your kids in the best position to produce a great defensive stand here.
What did Coach Landry have to say, Sports Doctor?
Yeah, Coach Landry is talking about his offense versus East Lyme's zone defense. Who's flashing, who's rotating, how they're going to flood the zone, where kids need to be, where do they need to be in positions to make quality shots, Casey. So the whole time out, he talked about their offense versus a zone defense.
All right, Sports Doctor, thank you very much. 3 minutes, 8 seconds remaining here in the ECC Championship. East Lyme 13-12 over Waterford. You're watching Game Day live on theday.com. Casey O'Neill along with the coach Ray Lefort, the Sports Doctor Keith O'Brien down on the sidelines of what has been an extremely entertaining, well-played, and competitive ECC Championship game. East Lyme, the defending champions, with a 1-goal lead over Waterford, who has tried to overcome the Vikings over the past few years and so far has come up short. Can they tie this one up?
So Waterford drops two ball carriers below the cage on the last spin. And again, they drop the second ball carrier below.
Up top now, Holdridge, 2.5 minutes remaining. Bowdish rips a shot, and a beautiful save by Brodeur. Out of the pack with it comes Walters for East Lyme. Ball loose, out of bounds, and it will be Waterford ball. Great save by Brodeur. Huge play by the sophomore with 2.5 minutes remaining.
Well, Brodeur got a good look at that. You know, he was very squared up to Bowdish's shot. Waterford's probably going to have to spin the ball and rotate the ball more and get more touches. I mean, the theme really is you got to make Brodeur see the ball at X and then turn his body on the over ball where he can't get squared up.
Bowdish spins, checked. Mason Lefort looking, finds a cutting hold. Bowdish shot, a bounce shot, but a beautiful save again by Brodeur. Quick outlet to Alden. East Lyme in transition. Looking to run under 2 minutes remaining, and they're going to eat some clock. Are the Vikings with a 1-goal lead. And a timeout, East Lyme. They want to set up the final 1 minute and 48 seconds of the ball game. Bowdish went to the well one more time on the bounce shot, but that time Brodeur was in position, squared up, and made the save for the Vikings. And now, Coach, with 1:48 remaining, East Lyme calls a timeout. As you said before, that's going to allow both teams to sort of set what they want to do. How does Waterford get the ball back in 1 minute and 48 seconds? What do they have to do defensively?
Well, you know, you're going to say to yourself, well, how long are the referees going to let the stall occur? It's probably going to be a minute. So if you extend right away off the settled ball, you could double it right now with 2 poles and see if you can get it on the ground from the jump. If you don't get it on the ground and you extend, you're going to give up really wide slides. So I'm going to try to double the ball right now. Coach White called the timeout. He let me set up my defense. Waterford had 2 omitties just trapped on defense. I think East Lyme could have probably run the ball out right then and there, but maybe Coach White wasn't as confident with his 6 ball carriers at that stage. So if I'm Waterford, I think I have to get the ball on the ground right now.
On the other side of things, if you're East Lyme, what's the number one message here about ball security? You're right. You want to hold on to this ball. At the very least, no stupid passes, right? Nothing that allows Waterford quick transition.
If you're going to turn it over, you want to turn it over in your low corners. where no one gets a number break at you. You don't want to turn it over here north of the 30-yard line and let somebody run on you. So that's a theme. You want to carry the ball below, get it to the corner. If they double you and win the double in the corner, that's fine. They still have to go 90 yards.
Sports Doctor, what'd you hear in the East Lyme huddle?
Hey, Casey, Coach Gary White talked personnel. He talked scheme. He talked taking care of the ball and getting good quality shots. Let it rip if it's there. A lot of the kids in the huddle were talking, this is championship time. East Lyme does not want to let Waterford touch this ball and hopefully win another championship.
Minute 48 remaining, Sports Doctor, and I think that's East Lyme's goal right now, is to not let Waterford have another possession in this game.
So Coach Landry's choosing here not to double the ball. He put Kevin Close on it, and he brought in Holdridge as a midi, and Holdridge is shutting off number 7, shutting off Belandes. But he's also hoping to get Holdridge in transition in the run.
Alden with the ball. Beautiful move that time on Close. Now over to help out is Lillis. Alden's going to hold the possession. 121. And Alden with the ball for East Lyme. Double teamed now finally. And the ball is loose. And Waterford will have the turnover. Quick transition it goes. Holdridge. And we're going to get a whistle and a timeout, Waterford, as they've retained possession. Now, I am a lacrosse novice, but I got to tell you, from my amateur eyes, it looked like a really good opportunity. I had the ball in my best player's hands with space and transition. Now they're going to have an opportunity to set up the zone. So I don't know anything, but I got to say, and Coach Landry knows a lot more than I do. But just from a pure, novice standpoint, I might have let that one go a little bit. A minute 11, I got to think, I got 30 seconds where I can let it go before I got to start thinking about calling set plays. I want to see how that transition plays out.
Well, they had a shot there at a 5v4. Actually, they might have had a shot at a 5v3 of Holdridge's legs out the midi, who was going to mark them, which probably over that space is likely, right? It might not happen in 5 yards, it might happen in 20. But Coach wanted to make sure that he got it clear, got it to his end. That's a second guesser right there. I guess that's why people pay the money to watch, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's worth $8 and a good cup of coffee.
Sports Doctor was down there. What Coach Landry have to say?
I don't think there's any secret here. They're going to try to find the ball in the stick of Loden Bowdish, Casey, and let him have one rip from his left-handed position. This is what a chess match between these two coaches down here. Winning time, Casey O'Neill, fourth quarter time.
All right, Holdridge with the ball for Waterford. He breaks up and he crosses midfield. Easy clear for Waterford now. They're going to look to set it up. Holdridge spins in the middle, has an opportunity, still on his feet, rips a shot, and it goes wide on a save by Brodeur. Lefort quickly to the ball. Waterford now under a minute remaining.
It's actually a nice shot by Holdridge. It was a little unsettled. The cage was backed up. And, you got to take a shot. And he went it low, wide, right pipe. And you know what? You take that shot every time.
Bowdish, Mason Lefort, back to Bowdish. He wants to get some space inside. Jacobson, ball loose, and a turnover. And Alden comes out of the pack for the Vikings. Crosses midfield. Great speed by Andrew Alden. Underneath it goes. Nice choice by Schaffner to go behind the net. Foregoing the shot. Waterford may not see the ball again. Alden with it. Waterford sending all kinds of defenders. And a hit on the ground and a turnover. Waterford has 13 and a half seconds in this ball game. Can they get one shot off?
So they're going to leg it up the field.
Under 10 seconds. Lefort, long pass, middle, bounce. Can Holdridge get it? He does. He loses it. Bowdish can't get it. Huda can't get it. East Lyme retains, and the East Lyme Vikings are again your ECC Boys Lacrosse champions, 13-12 in a classic.
Now about 13 seconds to go. Waterford trying to get the ball up the field quickly. Never gets off another shot. You've got to credit the East Lyme coaching staff, and you got to credit the kids for listening. They did everything their coaches asked. They played a lot of situations very well, and just sort of put the brakes on Waterford's offense. They did a great job. Congratulations to East Lyme. That's why they're the top dog in the region. They play big in the big games.
I love the sportsmanship shown by Waterford. The first thing they did is run down to the goal and pick up their freshman goalie, Cooper Alloway, and make sure he knew that, this isn't on you. That we win and lose together. Alloway was head down, dejected in the goal, but clearly the Waterford team feels good about their future with the freshman Alloway, and there's still a lot of talent on this Waterford team in the future, not the least of which is Caleb Holdridge coming back next year and playing in that goal-scoring capacity that he showed this year.
Well, and Coach White got to feel pretty good about James Mccoy coming back, and his goalies are coming back, and East Lyme's got a lot to build on. They're an outstanding team.
Now, both of these teams are going to be moving on into the state championship play, Class M. Waterford, the number 2 seed, is going to play the winner of Brantford and Law. And on the other side of things, East Lyme is going to play Foreign. They are the 13 seed playing the 20. So East Lyme, I got to think, is a very dangerous 13 seed in Class M.
Oh, they're a seasoned team. I mean, they can pick off a couple of teams as it goes and shakes out. I mean, the brackets are built around how many wins.
Testing.
So when you do that, East Lyme, not as many wins as Waterford, but they've played the hands and they've played those high-end teams on the western side of the state. I got to see Hand play a week ago, and I saw them give up 5 goals to maybe one of the best teams in Massachusetts in Longmeadow, and East Lyme scored 4. So East Lyme scored as many goals versus Hand as one of the top teams in the state of Massachusetts.
To think about how good defensively Hand must be, watching this East Lyme team that puts 13 up today, scoring only 4 goals, or how good is Fairfield Prep, who held them to 3 goals. But you look at the scores of the games against the really good teams, the Amities, the Xaviers, the scores come down. You see, 10-6 and 14-7, much closer than the 13-12 that we had here today. But both of these teams in position. Waterford, of course, made a run to the state championship last year. They got to feel like they got that in them again.
Well, clearly their run is much more difficult being in Class M. The difference for both these teams when they see those high-end teams, those top 3, 4, 5 teams on the western side of the state, is transitional play and goals in transition. East Lyme has a quality defense. They're hard to score on in settled 6s.
A great night.
Those other teams become very high-end with their defensive midfielders and their long stick middies, and they run the field and they produce shots in odd man breaks. And that is what high-end lacrosse is all about, getting to unsettled situations.
Well, congratulations to Coach Gary White and the East Lyme Vikings on another ECC Boys Lacrosse Championship. You see down the presentation of the championship trophy and the runner-up trophy to runners-up Coach Chris Landry and the Waterford High School Lancers. And the winner's trophy will go to Gary White and the East Lyme Viking boys. Of course, don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen, because while we are in between games, the sports doctor Keith O'Brien will entertain you, and then it'll be rematch number 2 between the East Lyme girls. They will try to pull off the double-decker lacrosse championship like they did last year, but they'll have to overcome a Stonington Bear girls team who they beat in last year's finals. So it's the second of 2 rematches. And that's quite an accomplishment for a school to be able to win championships in both boys and girls lacrosse. As you see, Andrew Alden, the senior for East Lyme, heads out to accept the championship trophy at midfield. A happy day here for the East Lyme boys.
Well, you mentioned both the East Lyme girls and boys being in the ECC championships.
Hard and should be proud of their accomplishment.
That's not a mistake.
We know that both
they have a youth program with a lot of people contributing, putting in a lot of time. They have that wonderful park, that Brybrook Park, and there are lacrosse goals as far as the eye can see down there. So you have a full commitment from kindergarten all the way up to 12th grade to be good at a sport. And you have to tip your hat and say, you guys do it right. And it's very commendable. There's so many people chipping in to give the kids in this town a great experience in the game of lacrosse.
Well, the sports doctor is down on the field with Coach Gary White, and we'll go down there in a moment. And I'm from an up-and-coming lacrosse community, a relatively newcomer to the lacrosse community, Colchester, where I live now. And I see the Bacon Academy boys and girls, both 4th and 3rd seed in the tournaments this year. So lacrosse, now as a baseball guy, bothers me a little bit because we're losing kids to lacrosse, but I love the game of lacrosse. So seeing more kids out there playing lacrosse is always good, and one of them might someday play for this man, champion coach Gary White. Sports doctor, take it away.
Well, Gary White, back-to-back years in nail-biting fashion. The ebbs and flows of the game. You know, what was the difference for your team?
I think the second half we picked things up a bit. We got a couple face-offs, and we got the energy. They were dominating the face-offs the first half, and as soon as we got a couple, we got some momentum going, and we had to watch out. We're game.
There it is.
I knew that was going to happen again. I knew they were going to do it.
I saw it coming.
That feels pretty good, though, doesn't
I'll
it?
take it every day.
I mean, the consistency of the program, the group of seniors you've had come through in and out of here, it's got to speak volumes for the kids that have been part of East Lyme lacrosse.
Yeah, again, every year we talk about legacy, what we want to leave for the next generation of Vikings, and again, the seniors definitely stepped it up this season. They're passing the torch. We still got some games to play in the state tournament, but again, there's great leadership this season, and we're coming together at the right time.
How good is it for this league to have a rivalry like they do with Waterford?
Chris Landry does a fantastic job. He's a great friend, but when we get on the field, we compete, and he gets his program locked in and ready to go with every opponent. And it's great for us. It's great for the ECC. And now this is over. We're wishing each other luck. Hopefully we don't see them again in the playoffs.
Right.
But we're wishing them luck and everybody else in ECC luck, and hopefully we can go far as a league.
Yeah, my last question is, are there any towels in the training room back there? Because I need one. Coach, good luck to you in the state tournament. Great win today.
Very much. Great team win. Thank you.
Thank you, sports doctor. Coach Gary White and the champion East Lyme Vikings boys. That's 2 years in a row.